Today we're going to be looking at some more news around Fallout 76. It seems like with these 2019 news videos, at least so far, it's a mixed bag for Bethesda. Some of it is definitely positive, good news that they have going for them, while other parts of it is definitely not so positive and some negative news associated with Bethesda and the Fallout 76 brand. If you guys do enjoy the content, you can leave a like or subscribe, or even click that fancy new join button down below. You'll get a pretty cool badge next to your name in the comments. What I want to start off with though is actually a lawsuit settlement from Bethesda, a conclusion to a previous story I talked about actually quite a while ago. If you guys do remember back to over the summer, news came out that Bethesda and ZeniMax by proxy were suing Warner Bros. Interactive and Behavior Interactive. Behavior Interactive was a company that helped develop Fallout Shelter, then they went over to Warner Bros. Interactive and helped develop a mobile Westworld game. Comparing the two games, it was pretty clear that they were similar. Bethesda claimed that it was a blatant ripoff of Fallout Shelter, and the visuals certainly seemed to support that, but the real question was, did it reuse any code? When this all came to light originally, one of the indications that the code was being reused, funnily enough, was that one of the bugs from Fallout Shelter was actually appearing in the Westworld mobile game. And then it follows that if that bug is the same, the code underlying the bug is also likely the same. Well, just recently we got a conclusion to this case. The two companies have settled. Coming together, Bethesda and the company that apparently reused their code said Bethesda Softworks and Behavior Interactive jointly announced today that the parties have amicably resolved the lawsuit Bethesda brought against Behavior and others related to the Fallout Shelter and Westworld mobile games. The interesting part about this though, both games still remain public. You can download the Westworld mobile game and Fallout Shelter. So I'd imagine what happened here is Bethesda either got a profit share or share of the revenue on game sales going forward, which seems significantly less likely compared to just a lump sum of cash. Enough cash that Bethesda's like, alright, we're okay with you reusing our code. For Bethesda, it seems like Fallout Shelter is just the gift that keeps on giving, Fallout Shelter being Bethesda's most played game by a wide margin. But outside of that, we have another story that I feel like is just not getting enough traction, and I think it's something Bethesda really has to address at some point in 2019. During Fallout 76's lifespan, there have been several exploits out there, one of the most prominent and dangerous ones being the duping exploit. Dangerous really just to server stability or others' enjoyment of the game. It's been reported by many of the people actually doing this when you actually dupe the items, since there's so many values being recreated in that moment, it causes a lot of server instability or even crashing. In the past update we got to the game, they actually addressed one of these issues. That dupe exploit in particular was there apparently since beta, or at least it was there since the beginning. It was discovered in beta, and over time it got more and more popular, especially on YouTube. But again, fortunately it was patched over a month later, but immediately following that video, more YouTube videos popped up of a totally separate and different duping exploit. And I talked about this at the time, saying that Bethesda just said this is their last patch of the year, and we probably aren't seeing another patch till mid to late January of 2019. If people want this duping exploit fixed before then, you gotta make some noise about it. In the end, nothing ended up happening, but the dupers have had that exploit for weeks at this point with no real response from Bethesda. In the past, I've talked about how damaging to the in-game economy or player trade this could be. I mean, you could get one legendary item and then create hundreds of it, and well, people are doing that, but actually profiting off of it also. Several websites have popped up selling in-game items from Fallout 76 for real-world money. On these, you can pretty much get anything major, whether you just want some spare strings or maybe even a mutation you've been trying to get. For those, some of the prices are not that high, but even alternatively, you can get some very rare weapons or several legendary weapons. That seems to be one of the main appeals of these websites, and it's some of the most widely posted items on them. By looking at the inventory list on some of these, it seems pretty obvious that this is actually a duper. The quantity on a lot of these are pretty insane, and even one guy was selling 500,000 stim packs for $120. But certainly nobody is buying this, right? Well, if you actually switch over to a more well-known site, eBay, you can see there are many listings on there also. But even beyond that, eBay has a functionality where you can see sold listings, things that people have actually bought, and well, no, these guys are actually making pretty decent money on it. There's some guy that was basically selling 10 legendary weapons, many of them being two-shot and explosive, those being two of the most powerful powerful legendary effects you can get. He's selling them for $45 or so and has already sold 33 of these. Before eBay fees and everything like that, that's $1,500 roughly. And if you actually go down the list of sold items, you're going to see a lot of other things like this. An $8 legendary 2-shot lever action, or at a bargain, a $4 2-shot legendary combat shotgun. Bethesda really hasn't given any kind of response to these exploiters. If you actually look at their terms of service, any sale of in-game items for real-world money is not allowed. The terms of service citing that it will result in an immediate suspension or termination of your account. The purpose of this video is really to just raise some awareness around this. I'm sure some of you guys will go out and now buy some of these items, but I think this is something that should be squashed by Bethesda. And hopefully many of these exploits, especially some of the more damaging ones, actually do get some real responses in 2019. Outside of that though, we actually have some more positive news as far as Fallout 76 goes, and specifically in their Atomic Shop. The Atomic Shop has long been a home to very overpriced, and honestly, I wouldn't even call it overpriced, more like ridiculously priced items. Some of the Christmas bundles being at $20 is just absurd. So none of that was technically changed, but recently Bethesda actually posted several new outfits and armors that are much more reasonably priced, definitely at a lower price point compared to past entries on the shop. Pretty much all of this being New Year themed, the bundle at only 800 points and giving you several outfits is definitely a better deal. If you actually spend some time in game, you could certainly earn enough points to unlock this for free, or alternatively, if you want to go the paid route, I'm sure you can offset your money spent by actually earning items for free, and this is certainly a step in the right direction. I've been saying all along that I just have to imagine Bethesda will sell more stuff at lower price points because it's going to be more interesting to the everyday consumer, like me even. There are several things on this shop I thought about buying, but when you see the price, I just won't do it out of protest. Although with that news, we also have some pretty limited items also getting added here. Over the past couple of days, we've seen several new additions that are all limited to 1 day in time. I talked about the 800 point hairstyle a couple of days ago, but now we have several new outfits also just available for 1 day. Get it now or get it never, because it seems like after this 1 day passes, or if you just don't play the game for 1 day, you'll never get access to this outfit, unless Bethesda implements some new way of getting legacy content in the future. And also interesting, one item that was actually on the shop for quite a while, this dress right here, is now listed as being on sale as well as only limited for the next day. Seemingly after that, it will be gone forever. This is pretty interesting because, again, it's not a new item. I'm not sure if they've done this in the past. It's the first I've actually realized it's happening, where seemingly it's an addition that was here for a while, but now will be gone. Largely, I think that's okay. It's honestly what most companies do in real life, and at the discounted price, it's not that hard to earn this for free. But it does make me curious. There's probably going to be somebody in a predicament who's working in-game to actually get up their atoms to try and buy some kind of paint job or armor, where this same thing could happen. It could get removed eventually, and that person could never get access to buying it. It almost makes me wish there was some kind of way to track certain items so you can see when it goes on sale or if it's being slated for removal. So last but not least, we actually have a response from the Nuka Dark Rum Bottling Company, otherwise known as Silver Screen Bottling Company. They're the people that actually put on and manufactured the Nuka Dark Rum. They're actually fairly well respected in the alcohol world. And if you haven't been following the news, the Nuka Dark Rum has had, well, not the most positive news around it. A lot of people are really questioning why it cost $80 and felt misled that the bottle was made out of plastic, not glass. If you look at some of the original promotional images, it certainly looks like you're paying $80 to get a really cool glass bottle. In the end, it ends up just being a plastic casing, and even beyond that, the actual contents of the bottle aren't the highest quality either.
Something probably a little medicinal.
Okay.
A little cheap tasting.
But it's $80.
I don't think you're paying for the alcohol.
Leaving many users to question why they paid $80 for this thing. It really isn't what they expected or all that good otherwise. Following some of this controversy and backlash, the COO of Silver Screen Bottling Co. actually posted a response on the Nuka Dark Rum website. And it's actually pretty fun, so I'm going to read it. The packaging of Nuka Dark Rum was a design that was months in the making, and we went to great lengths to ensure that no corners were cut. It cost over 2 times what it would have if we had simply cast a glass mold. We went through many prototypes. In fact, in all, we had 4 different iterations of the design, 2 of which were glass exteriors. We determined that a glass bottle alone would not have been dramatic enough for the look we wanted. We wanted something big and bold for the loyal Fallout fanbase, something that honored the game. Over 100 hours were spent just writing the code to create the 3D printed prototype of the shells. The bottle cap, which is actually an integrated cork/cap, was engineered and re-engineered several times to ensure it fit on the bottle in a manner that looked exactly the way it was supposed to inside of a cork finished bottle, not a screw cap, a design created specifically for rum. The idea was that this bottle was housed in a vault of its own. The dimensions for the entire package are 13 by 6. It is roughly 60% larger than a standard 750 milliliter bottle, and it will stand out on any bar. This is a project we are extremely proud of, and we are sorry that you feel you were in any way deceived. We were very deliberate in the creation of this product and paid great attention to the brand and the quality, not just the presentation, but the rum inside the bottle as well.
Something probably a little medicinal.
Okay.
A little cheap tasting.
We can't wait for you to see it in person and taste it for yourself. We're not sure that the images or videos do it justice. Now, if you don't agree when you receive yours, please let our team know by submitting a form in the questions about my order section below, and we will work to make it right. Yeah, that was a little long, but I just felt like you had to see it in its original text. It was such a gem, something of beauty. So I don't really know what this guy is talking about. I think a lot of people just assumed, like with most alcohols out there, when you purchase it, it comes in a glass bottle, especially at $80. All that stuff they said about carefully crafting it, the 3D printing efforts, and things along those lines, that's all great and cool. I'm happy you're happy with your product. But at the same time, if the consumers and the vast majority of consumers seemingly expected one thing and got a different thing after paying their money, that is a problem, whether it be a problem in marketing or product design, whatever, but that's something that should have been communicated. It's not exactly rocket science. Now, the part where he mentions that he wanted it to be plastic so it stood out more and so it really represented the Fallout brand just honestly sounds like BS to me. I don't know anyone who would prefer a plastic bottle over a glass one when it comes to alcohol. Plastic bottles are pretty universally associated with cheaper purchases, where glass bottles are not exactly expensive, but typically if you spend more money, you will get a glass bottle. These are just the norms of that industry, so for this company to try and flip it on its head and do the opposite without telling anyone is really the problem here. Inherently, creating a plastic bottle might have its own merit, it's just that they didn't really communicate that or make it clear to the consumer. I'm actually pretty curious what they mean at the end when you could ask questions about my order. Does that mean you could potentially return this and actually get a full refund? But actually, I lied before. One last story that is truly the last one. Bethesda's parent company ZeniMax has filed a trademark for something called Deathloop. So we have no real idea as to what this is, but it certainly is interesting news. One of the articles reports that the description of the trademark suggests it could be an online-enabled mobile game. But either way, I figured I'd highlight this because it could be interesting. It could be something we get announced at this up-and-coming E3, or they could just be reserving the name for a future project. That's actually exactly what happened with Starfield. The trademark was filed in 2013, we didn't get an announcement or confirmation of the game until 2018. Plus, Deathloop seems like it could be a fairly common name. Either way, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, I thank you for watching. It was a bit of a longer one, but there's a lot I wanted to cover. Hopefully you guys found this video informative or just enjoyed it, and with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.